In the vibrant city of Lagos, where ambition mingles with temptation, there was one name everyone whispered: Adaora. Her beauty was intoxicating, her charm irresistible, but her lifestyle reckless. Adaora was known for her affairs with wealthy men, many of them married. She snatched husbands from their wives, her conscience numb to the heartbreak she left behind. But her careless pursuit of wealth and excitement would lead her down a path she could never have imagined. Her friends, though envious of her luxurious lifestyle, wondered that such recklessness would catch up to her. But Adaora was too blinded by her own desires to listen. She had everything she wanted, or so she thought. In the vibrant nightlife of Lagos, Adaora shines brightly amidst the chaos. Clad in a stunning royal blue gown, she glides through an exclusive rooftop party, where twinkling fairy lights create a magical ambience. Laughter and soft music fill the air, but for Adaora, this is just another night in a series of glamorous escapades. As she mingles with well-dressed guests, her eyes reveal a restlessness, just one of many nights spent chasing excitement, leaving her yearning for something deeper. In the dimly lit corner of an upscale lounge, Adaora finds herself wrapped in another fleeting affair with a married man. It's just another night in a whirlwind life, where thrill and temptation intertwine. But for Adaora, this moment feels all too familiar. Just another random encounter, lost in a blur of glamorous nights and empty connection. She remains blissfully numb, oblivious to the consequences of her choices as the night unfolds around her. Adaora shared her world with Chioma, her best friend and confidant. Chioma was the yin to Adora's yang, grounded and sensible, always ready to pull Adaora back from the edge of her reckless escapades. While Adaora thrived on the thrill of the night, dazzling in designer outfits and capturing the gaze of every onlooker, Chioma found beauty in simplicity and moderation. Despite their differences, their bond was unbreakable. Chioma understood Adora's hunger for adventure, even if it often led her down a precarious path. "Promise me you'll be careful," Chioma would often say, a blend of concern and love in her voice. Adaora, with her infectious laughter and carefree spirit, would brush off the warnings, insisting that life was too short to hold back. Together, they navigated the complexities of love and ambition in a world that often blurred the line between right and wrong. On one of the many nights of Adora's escapades, she's seen getting ready for a night out, trying on different outfits in front of a full-length mirror. Chioma is seated on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Looking up from her phone, raising an eyebrow, Chioma said, "Adaora, are you seriously planning to wear that? It's like you're trying to attract every man in Lagos." Adaora, twirling in front of the mirror. Why not? A little attention never hurts anyone. Besides, who wouldn't want to look this good? Chioma, rolling her eyes with a smile. "You know that looks aren't everything. What about self-respect? Not every guy you meet is worth your time." Adaora with a smirk on her face. "Self-respect? You sound like my mother. I'm just having fun, Chioma. Life is too short to worry about that." "I get it, but you need to be careful. You can have fun without losing yourself in the process. Remember that guy from last week?" Chioma said. "Which one? I lose track with all the fun I'm having," replied Adaora. Chioma said, "The married one. He had a wife, Adaora. This isn't just harmless fun. It affects real people." Adaora replied, unfazed, "Everyone cheats, Chioma. It's just part of the game. Besides, I didn't force him to make that choice." "I know you don't mean any harm, but it's dangerous territory. You could end up in a situation you can't control," Chioma said softly. Adaora replied, "Stop being so serious. Let me live a little. Besides, who else would keep this place lively? Someone has to keep you out of trouble. Just promise me you'll be careful, okay?" Adaora replied, "Always. Now help me pick a dress. I need to look flawless tonight." One night, at an exclusive party, Adaora laid eyes on a man who stood out from the rest. Mr. Easy. He was older, mysterious, and had an aura of power. Unlike the men she was used to, Mr. Easy didn't shower her with compliments or pursue her with desperation. He was calm, collected, and that intrigued her. He represented a new kind of excitement, one that promised not only wealth, but mystery. Summoning her courage, Adaora decided to make the first move. She gracefully navigated through the crowd, her eyes fixed on Mr. Easy as she approached. She offered a warm smile and introduced herself. "Hello, I'm Adaora." I couldn't help but notice you from across the room. Her heart raced, but she maintained her composure, eager to uncover the mystery that surrounded him. Mr. Easy glanced up, calm and composed. "Adaora, it's a pleasure to meet you. What brings you here tonight?" Adaora with a playful tone. "Oh, just enjoying the night. The usual good music, good company, and now I've met you." Mr. Easy with a faint smile. "Quite the charmer, I see. But I get the sense that you don't usually approach people like this." Adaora laughing softly. "You're right. But something about you seemed different." "I like different." "Different, huh? And what do you think you'd find by coming over here?" Adaora shrugging playfully. "Maybe a little mystery, maybe more. You tell me." Mr. Easy with a knowing look. "Be careful, Adaora. Sometimes a mystery is better left unsolved." Adaora proceeds to give him his contact, of which he collected, and promised to call her when he gets home. What started as a flirtation quickly became something more. Mr. Easy was unlike any man Adaora had ever met. He was wealthy beyond imagination, with a grand mansion and access to a world of power Adaora had only dreamed of. But as their relationship deepened, Mr. Easy revealed a darker side. The first time Adaora visited Mr. Easy's mansion, she marveled at the luxury surrounding her. Mr. Easy's mansion was enormous, filled with priceless artifacts and lavish decor. But there was one room he warned Adaora never to enter. His tone was calm but firm. "Do not go near that room," he said. Adaora nods, but her eyes linger on the door, curiosity flickering on her face. At first, Adaora didn't question it. The mansion was so large. She had no reason to explore further. But over time, the warning gnawed at her. What could possibly be behind that door? Meanwhile, back at her shared apartment, Chioma, Adaora's religious friend, had been watching Adora's reckless behavior with increasing concern. Chioma had always tried to warn her, but Adaora rarely listened. But this time, something felt different. One night, after Adaora returned from another visit to Mr. Easy's mansion, Chioma had a disturbing vision. In the vision, Adaora was crying out for help, trapped in darkness, but Chioma couldn't reach her. The next morning, while they were having breakfast, Chioma said to Adaora, "I saw you in my dream," her voice shaking. "You were in trouble, but I couldn't help you. Adaora, you need to be careful." Adaora brushes off the warning, laughing it off. But Adaora, as always, dismissed her friend's concerns. Chioma's warnings were nothing new. Adaora was too wrapped up in her life of luxury to take heed. And besides, Mr. Easy had become an obsession. Adora's visits to Mr. Easy's mansion became more frequent, and each time, the door beckoned her. But curiosity, they say, kills the cat. One night, her curiosity overcame her. Adaora walked down a dimly lit hallway, her eyes fixed on the forbidden door. Ignoring Mr. Easy's warning, Adaora slowly opened the door. Inside, the air was cold, the lights dim, and there, in the center of the room, was something she never expected. Adaora stood frozen in the doorway, her eyes wide with terror. The gravity of what she had uncovered weighed down on her. There, lying in the center of the room, was a woman, unconscious, lifeless. Surrounding her were strange symbols, drawn in a dark, sticky substance that glistened under the dim lights. The air in the room was thick, suffocating. Adora's heart raced as the reality of Mr. Eze's dark secrets became painfully clear. This woman was a victim of something far worse than she could have imagined, something sinister. Mr. Eze's wealth, his power, it all came at a terrible price. "I warned you not to enter this room." Mr. Eze's voice boomed through the room, cold and furious. "You have no idea what you've done." Adaora stumbled backwards, her hands trembling. As Mr. Eze began to chant in a foreign language Adaora could not understand, the room itself began to react. Shadows moved unnaturally. The symbols on the floor glowed faintly, and the temperature dropped. The ritual was in motion. Suddenly, the shadows inched towards Adaora, curling around her feet. Her panic intensifies. Adaora felt darkness closing in on her, wrapping around her like a vice. She could barely breathe. The man she thought was her ticket to endless luxury and power was nothing but a monster, and now she was trapped in his web. At that very moment, Chioma felt something shift. She dropped to her knees, her prayers growing more intense. She prayed for Adora's safety, unaware of the horrors unfolding in Mr. Eze's mansion. Her voice shakes with intensity as she calls out for divine intervention. But Chioma's prayers were powerful. As Adaora stood frozen in terror, something shifted. The dark forces in the room weakened. Mr. Eze, consumed by his own darkness, began to unravel. The power of Chioma's prayers had undone him. The ritual could no longer continue. Mr. Eze's wealth and power began to crumble, and his mind, once sharp and controlled, descended into madness. His once calm demeanor dissolving as he stumbles back, his mind breaking. Suddenly, Mr. Eze started screaming, clutching his head as the room spins around him. Adaora, noticing that Mr. Eze was losing control of his powers, immediately ran out of the room, finding her way out of the mansion, running into the night as Mr. Eze's scream echoed behind her. Adaora barely escaped that night. As she ran through the dark streets of Lagos, she realized just how close she had come to losing everything: the power, the allure, the wealth. It had all been a dangerous lie. She finally understood Chioma's warnings. She had been saved, not by her own strength, but by the power of Chioma's prayers. Adaora had faced darkness and barely survived. As she got back to the apartment, shaking, Chioma wrapped her in a comforting embrace. Adaora cried uncontrollably that night, constantly thanking God for saving her life and for using Chioma, her friend, as a vessel to help fight the battle that she faced that night. As for Mr. Eze, his life of power and wealth was over. Consumed by his own darkness, he lost everything and descended into madness, a victim of the very forces he once controlled. In the end, Adaora was now filled with regrets. It wasn't beauty or wealth that saved her, it was faith. The darkness Adaora had been drawn to had nearly consumed her, but friendship and the power of prayer had pulled her back from the edge. From that moment on, Adaora turned a new leaf. She cut ties with her reckless lifestyle, no longer chasing after wealthy men or the luxuries that had once consumed her. Instead, she embraced a simpler, more meaningful life.